Have you ever wondered why sometimes you feel heavy inside, even when nothing bad is happening in your life? It's not always the events that break us. It's what we hide from ourselves. Think about it. How many times have you smiled and said, "I'm fine," when deep down you weren't fine at all? We grow up thinking strength means acting tough, holding back tears, and pretending nothing hurts. But the truth is, the feelings we bury don't disappear. They stay inside us quiet, but powerful, shaping the way we think, act, and even how our body feels. Here's the irony. The emotions we lock away to survive often end up slowly making us weaker. Why does this happen? Because from childhood, we're trained to believe that some emotions are bad. Anger, sadness, fear, they're seen as flaws. Maybe someone told you to stop crying or be strong. Maybe you were praised for being the one who never complained. So you learned to push those emotions down and put on a mask. But psychology says emotions aren't meant to be destroyed. They're messengers. They're signals that something matters. And when we silence them, they don't vanish, they transform. That unspoken anger, it can turn into constant stress or irritability. That sadness you swallowed, it may come back as numbness, loss of motivation, or even physical exhaustion. The body keeps a record of everything we hide. Now, pause for a moment and ask yourself, how many times have you ignored what you were really feeling, only to find yourself weeks later drained, restless, or snapping at someone for no reason? That wasn't weakness. It was your emotions demanding to be heard. Here's a deeper question. What if pretending not to feel is the very thing that makes us weaker? Real strength isn't about hiding emotions. Real strength is about facing them, understanding them, and letting them pass through, instead of letting them control us from the shadows. There's a concept in psychology called the return of the repressed. It means that whatever we push down will eventually come back, sometimes through dreams, slips of the tongue, or sudden behavior we can't explain. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. You can push it down for a while, but the pressure builds, and eventually it bursts back up with even more force. But here's the twist. If repressing emotions makes us weaker, then what actually makes us strong? Is it saying everything we feel without holding back? Or is there a smarter balance, an emotional intelligence that lets us acknowledge feelings without being ruled by them? Let's look at what science says. Neurological studies reveal that when we suppress emotions, our brain works overtime. The part of the brain responsible for control is exhausted, while the part that processes fear stays highly active. Translation: even when you hide feelings, your body still feels the stress. It's like having a hidden app running in the background, constantly draining your energy. That's why repression feels strong in the moment, but weakens you in the long run. Ever felt exhausted for no clear reason? Not because you lacked sleep, but because unspoken emotions were silently taxing your mind and body? And it doesn't just affect your inner world. Repressed emotions spill into relationships. A person who hides anger might struggle to set boundaries. The one who buries sadness might struggle to form deep connections. The one who hides fear might become controlling, trying to manage everything so they never feel exposed. Here's the scary part. Most of the time, we don't even notice it's happening. So, if repression is so harmful, why do we keep doing it? The answer is emotional conditioning. As children, we learned that sadness was unsafe, anger was dangerous, and fear made us weak. Our brain created shortcuts, hide it to survive. Over time, it became automatic. We don't even realize we're repressing. We think it's just who we are. But repression isn't control. It's the opposite. Instead of you controlling emotions, they control you from the shadows. And research proves it. People who repress emotions actually handle stress worse. The very act of hiding feelings makes us less resilient. That's the tragic paradox. We think hiding pain makes us strong, but it actually steals our strength. So what's the real path to strength? It's not repression. It's not exploding either. It's integration. Integration means allowing emotions to exist without letting them rule you. Anger can show you where your boundaries are. Sadness can teach you what truly matters. Fear can reveal where you need to grow. Emotions are not enemies, they're teachers. When you listen instead of hide, you don't just survive, you transform. You gain wisdom, resilience, and real power. But here's the question that should sit with you. What happens when we finally open that inner room we've kept locked for years? When we face the emotions we've been running from? Does it break us? Or does it set us free? The answer might surprise you, because the most powerful transformations don't come from avoiding pain, they come from meeting it with courage. And in the next part, we'll explore how facing your emotions doesn't just heal you, it can rewire your brain, reshape your relationships, and give you back the energy and strength you didn't even know you had lost. For now, I'll leave you with this thought. Maybe true strength isn't about how much you can hide, but how deeply you can feel without being controlled by it. You might suddenly feel tired, as if you've been carrying a hidden weight for years. And in those moments, it feels easier to shut yourself down and say, "This is why I never let myself feel anything." But if you can resist that urge, if you can stay with your emotions instead of locking them away, something surprising happens. Slowly, the storm inside settles, and what's left is clarity. You begin to see that emotions were never your enemies. They were messengers, guiding you to your deepest needs. And this isn't just some poetic idea. Psychology proves it. Studies show that emotions have a natural life cycle. If you allow yourself to fully feel them, they often fade within minutes. But if you push them down, they can stay trapped for years, turning into quiet suffering. Think about that. The more we avoid our emotions, the longer they control us. The moment we let them flow, their power over us weakens. Crying, admitting fear, or showing frustration may look like weakness. But in reality, it's the door to resilience. Here's a way to picture it. Imagine your emotions as water flowing through a river. If you block the river with a dam, the water doesn't vanish. It builds pressure, cracks the walls, and eventually floods everything. That's repression. But if you let the river flow freely, it nourishes everything around it. That's integration. That's what emotional freedom looks like. And here's something fascinating. Modern brain research shows that even naming your emotions changes how your brain reacts. Scans reveal that when you say what you're feeling, anger, sadness, fear, it reduces activity in the amygdala, the survival center, and strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the control center. In simple words, when you admit what you feel, your brain shifts from panic mode to power mode. You don't just feel better, you actually become stronger. The benefits go even further. Facing emotions transforms your relationships. Vulnerability is not weakness, it's the foundation of real connection. When you show someone your real self, not the polished mask, but the raw, imperfect truth, you give them permission to do the same. That's how genuine love, trust, and friendship are built. Maybe that's why so many people today feel lonely and disconnected. We live in a culture that celebrates highlight reels instead of behind-the-scenes reality. Strength is praised, but vulnerability is quietly punished. So people smile on the outside while drowning on the inside. But when one person dares to say, "Yes, I struggle too. I'm human," something powerful happens. Others feel safe to admit the same. In that shared honesty, weakness turns into collective strength. But here's the big question. If repression makes us weaker and expression makes us stronger, why don't we all choose expression? The answer is fear. Fear of judgment. Fear of rejection. Fear of facing truths about ourselves. Repression doesn't feel best, it just feels safe. It's like a shield we hold up against the world. The problem is, that shield eventually becomes a prison dot. So how do we step out of that prison? It starts with awareness. Not by exploding everything out, not by telling everyone all at once, but by being quietly honest with yourself. Ask, what am I really feeling beneath the surface? Not the story I tell others, not the excuses I give myself, but the truth. And here's the important part. Don't judge it. Anger doesn't make you bad. Sadness doesn't make you weak. Fear doesn't mean you're broken. They only mean you're human. From there, small steps make a huge difference. Write your thoughts in a journal instead of burying them. Talk to a trusted friend or therapist. Pause when you feel tension and ask yourself, what emotion is this and what does it need? These may sound simple, but science proves they actually rewire your brain, teaching it to process emotions instead of repress them. The more you practice, the stronger you grow, not the brittle strength of hiding, but the flexible strength of resilience. You realize emotions come and go like waves. They rise, crash, and fade. None of them last forever. Once you truly understand this, you stop fearing them. And maybe here's the deeper truth. Weakness isn't about feeling too much. It's about feeling too little. When you block sadness, you also block joy. When you shut down fear, you also shut down excitement. When you silence anger, you silence passion too. Repression doesn't just protect you from pain, it also steals your life's energy. So the real choice is this. Do you want safety or do you want aliveness? Because safety without aliveness is only survival. Aliveness, even though it's messy, is where real strength, love, and meaning live. Every great story, every deep connection, every moment of growth, none of them come from repression. They come from people who dared to feel, to face themselves, to fall, and to rise again. So if you've been carrying emotions you've never faced, maybe now is the time. Not to fight them, not to drown in them, but to sit with them and say, I see you, I hear you, I accept you. And in that moment, you'll discover a strength that doesn't need to hide, because it cannot break. Weakness isn't in feeling deeply. Weakness is in refusing to feel at all. So the next time you stop yourself from crying, silence your anger, or numb your sadness, remember this. What you repress today becomes the weight you'll carry tomorrow. But what you allow yourself to feel today becomes the freedom you'll live with tomorrow. In the end, the psychology of repressed emotions isn't about weakness or strength, it's about honesty. And the more honest you are with yourself, the stronger, freer, and more unshakable you become. Because life will always bring pain. But freedom belongs only to those who dare to feel. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you told yourself, I'll deal with it later? How many times have you buried the hurt, the anger, or the sadness deep inside, convincing yourself that ignoring it was strength? We all do it. We all build walls around our emotions, believing that if we don't look at them, they can't touch us. But the truth is, they still live inside us, shaping how we think, how we act, and how we connect with others. The real danger of repression is not that it hides pain, it's that it slowly numbs life itself. When you close the door on pain, you also close the door on joy. When you silence your fear, you also silence your courage. When you push away sadness, you push away the ability to feel true love. And in the end, what remains is not peace, it's emptiness. This is why honesty with yourself is the greatest act of courage. It's not about standing on a stage and confessing everything to the world. It's about sitting quietly with your own heart and asking, what am I really feeling? Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's shame. Maybe it's anger. And maybe it's love you've been too afraid to admit. At first, This honesty feels heavy, even unbearable. It's like standing in a storm without shelter. You feel the rain, the thunder, the weight of everything you've been avoiding. But then, slowly, the clouds begin to part. And what you find is clarity, the kind of clarity that only comes when the storm is over, and you can finally see the sky again. Science itself confirms this. When you face your emotions instead of hiding them, your brain changes. You shift from survival mode into growth mode. You stop being a prisoner of your reactions and start becoming the leader of your own inner world. This is not weakness. This is power, the kind of power no one can take from you, because it comes from the courage to feel. And here's something even more powerful. When you allow yourself to feel, you also give permission for others to do the same. Vulnerability is contagious. Think about it. How many times have you felt closer to someone, not because of their strengths, but because of the moment they showed you their struggles? That's when trust is built. That's when real connection happens. Not in perfection, but in truth. But why is this so rare today? Why do so many people live behind masks, pretending to be fine while secretly carrying storms inside? The answer is fear. Fear of being judged. Fear of being rejected. Fear of being seen as weak. We are taught to smile when we want to cry, to stay silent when we want to scream, to hide when we want to be seen. And so, people walk around polished on the outside, but quietly broken within. Yet here's the paradox. What we think protects us imprisons us. The walls we build to keep pain away also keep love away. The mask we wear to look strong keeps us from ever being truly known. And the silence we hold to avoid rejection only leaves us feeling invisible. So here's the real choice. Do you want safety or do you want aliveness? Safety without aliveness is just survival. It may keep you comfortable, but it will never make you fulfilled. Aliveness, on the other hand, is messy. It means tears. It means failure. It means heartbreak. But it also means joy, passion, love, and meaning. It means truly living. And maybe that's the question life keeps asking us. Do you want to survive, or do you want to live? Living begins the moment you stop running from yourself. The moment you decide, yes, I will face what I feel. I will sit with it. I will learn from it. I will grow through it. That is the moment you step out of prison and into freedom. Because freedom doesn't come from escape, it comes from honesty. Now, think about your own life. What emotions have you been running from? What truths have you been too afraid to face? Maybe it's grief you never allowed yourself to feel. Maybe it's anger you buried so deep it turned into exhaustion. Maybe it's love you never confessed because you feared rejection. Whatever it is, it's still there, waiting for you, not to punish you, but to guide you. Because emotions are not enemies. They are signals. They are messages from within, pointing you to what matters most. Anger tells you a boundary has been crossed. Sadness tells you you've lost something you value. Fear tells you something precious is at stake. Even joy, even love, even excitement, these are signals too, showing you where your heart longs to go. And once you begin to see emotions as teachers, everything changes. You stop fighting yourself. You stop running. You start listening. And in listening, you find wisdom you never knew you had. This is what resilience really means, not hiding your pain, but learning how to carry it without breaking. Not denying your emotions, but allowing them to pass through you like waves, knowing that no storm lasts forever. That is true strength, the kind that grows deeper every time you choose truth over denial. And maybe, just maybe, the greatest tragedy is not in feeling too much, but in feeling too little. Because to repress emotions is to repress life. And life, with all its mésalliances, with all its storms, with all its beauty, is worth feeling. So here's my invitation to you. Choose honesty. Choose aliveness. Choose to feel, even when it's uncomfortable. Because on the other side of discomfort is freedom. On the other side of fear is growth. And on the other side of repression is a life that feels fully alive. If you take just one thing from this video, let it be this. What you refuse to feel today becomes the weight you carry tomorrow. But what you allow yourself to feel today becomes the freedom you live with tomorrow. So ask yourself now, what do you want your tomorrow to look like? A tomorrow weighed down by silence and repression? Or a tomorrow filled with clarity, strength, and truth? The choice is yours, and it begins with a single-step honesty with yourself. And as you step forward, remember you are not alone. We are all carrying something. We are all learning to feel, to heal, and to grow. And by being here, by listening to this, by choosing to face yourself, you've already taken the hardest step. If this message spoke to you, let it stay with you. Let it remind you that you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be real. And if you want to keep walking this path of honesty, strength, and growth, then stay connected. Subscribe, join this space, and let's keep exploring these truths together. Because here, we don't run from the hard questions. We face them, and we grow stronger together. So until next time, take care of yourself. Be gentle with your heart. And most of all, dare to feel. Because freedom belongs to those who do.